Slapdown, the fantasy show taking place. Going to be a weekly feature here on Slap News. Big G, we've got you here. How exciting is it, my man, to have Fantasy Slap as part of Power Slap now going forward for the road to the Title 2 series?
Man, this is going to be really, really cool. Kudos to Dana White and the whole Stat Hero team for putting this together. It's going to add a level of interactivity every week and invest you in these guys that you've picked for your rosters, which we'll get into. But this is a great evolution for Power Slap. It's great for engagement. The fans, I think, are going to love this.
100% they will. They're going to be invested even in the matches that they may not particularly like somebody, but if they have them in their lineup, or if someone that they're going against is going to have, that person in their lineup, they will either be rooting or for against those slap fighters. So it's going to be great. Let's get into it. Let's kind of give an overview. So you're going to have to pick a total of 8 slap fighters, and you're going to have to stay within a budget of $6,750. Let's talk a little bit about that, Jeeves, because each striker has a slap score. Let's go over the slap scores and kind of like see how that works, because you have to have a total of 8 fighters under that salary cap to make your lineup for the entire show. You only pick your team once for the entire 12 weeks. So once the deadline hits, once it's locked, which is the start of the show this coming Wednesday, you don't change your lineup for the next 10 weeks. So let's talk about that slap score, Jeeves, and why it's important.
Yeah, so like Corey said, you get 6,750 points total to work with. That's your budget. It's very similar to other draft fantasy leagues like that. Now, the reason these slap scores are important is because of that budget. So we'll see when you log on to the Stat Hero website and you go to build your roster, they're organized from highest slap score to lowest. And most people are going to think like, all right, the guys with the highest slap scores, these guys are the ones that I'm going to fill my roster with. So number one on your roster, you have to have a striker from every weight division that's going to be on the show. And then you also get 2 flex positions. So you don't want to blow your bag early and pick all the hot guys, because you're going to run out of budget to fill out the rest of your team. Now, we played around with the Stat Hero a little bit, and we saw that you really have to have a mix. Now, it adds a level of excitement that no one really knows too much about these guys. But I think a great way to do some research on these guys is hit up their social medias. Most, if not all of them, are on Instagram at the very least. And some of these guys even have past experience that you can go back to. So take that into consideration when you're selecting your guys. Don't just go off the highest slap score, because you're going to run out of budget real quick.
Absolutely. It's an incredible way. Like we said, Stat Hero, head over there, craft your lineup before the deadline. Stick around, because at the end of this episode, we're going to be giving you core 4. That's 4 slap fighters that we think are going to be the pillars. They're going to be the corners. They're going to be the legs on those chairs that you should have in your lineup to build around. Me and G's, we're going to go through that entire thing with you. It's going to be awesome. We've did some deep dive research on these guys, and some guys that we think will go very far in this competition that will set you up for success, so that you have your chance to take home the top prize of $10,000. There's over 100 prizes that are going to be given away here. Some really cool prizes, in-person experience, VIP to be able to attend a Power Slap event, at the UFC Apex. There's Dana White autographs, and then there's a ton of, sponsor prizes as well. But we've got Jason here from Stat Hero. We're going to throw it over to him. We're going to get into an interview with him so that he can kind of lay out for everybody what Stat Hero is about and what the Dana White Challenge, is going to be able to do for everybody. Looking forward to it. We're going to swing over to Jason right now. Jason from Stat Hero, how you doing, my man?
Corey, how you been, man? Good to see you.
Really good, man. I know you're a super busy guy, so I won't take up too much of your time, but I really appreciate you joining me here on Slap News. Getting into the fantasy game with Dana White, how incredible is that? But first, let's talk about Stat Hero. How did you get into it, and what differentiates you from your competitors?
Oh, love that question, Corey. Well, one, thanks for having me on. Stat Hero started around 4 to 5 years ago. We had to battle a lot of things, right? The pandemic, just like everybody, right? Everybody had to do that. And luckily we're out of the woods there. And then, now it just 5 years, you blink your eyes, and it's so funny how fast the time has gone. The reason why Stat Hero was created, I remember sitting in my house and I was playing traditional daily fantasy and I thought I killed it. I'm like celebrating in my head, et cetera, et cetera. And I look, I'm like 171st place. And I was never the greatest sports bettor ever. So I was like, man, what can I create um, that actually have a legitimate shot at winning? So Stat Hero was born. We started with our daily fantasy survivor pools, which basically you can play a survivor pool in any sport. But the trick is with us, you're getting paid every time you win versus having to wait to the end.
Awesome.
So that was the first differentiated product. The second, head to head, you love playing your buddies. You know always talking your smack. And Stat Hero came out with our head to head product, which is we produce lineups for you to play against. So you can handpick your opponent. We're completely transparent. Pick and choose who you want to play. And then on certain lineups, I'd say half of our lineups, we offer odds if you beat us. So 5 to 1 up to 100 to 1. If you can beat our lineup, you get paid that multiple. And then finally, rivals, which is we do all the work for you. We make it super easy, super fast to get in, not intimidating for the head to head, where it's probably a little bit more advanced people playing it. Rivals is where we pit players against each other, and which is fun. Is it's very unlike what you're normally used to seeing, which is single game contest, that running back versus that running back. Like everybody has that, but what we do is we use our algorithms to make lineups you don't ever see. You don't see them on sports books, daily fantasy. Where we'll pit like kickers versus quarterbacks, or running back and running back kicker versus tight end and quarterback, and we are able to trade and figure out what to make it an even matchup, just like we're used to seeing, and people can use their skill on which side is going to win using fantasy points. So that's what makes us different. It's very important for us. There's a lot of great innovation out there, but we wanted to make sure that we were doing always something different for the players to have fun, make a little money.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I think is incredibly unique about you guys, like you said, you're not playing, in a contest against 200,000 other competitors. You're playing against Stat Hero. Is that correct? It's you versus, I guess Stat Hero, the house, with the odds that are set. Is that how it works? So it's you versus essentially Stat Hero?
Right. I mean, Stat Hero on most of our contests, we're really not the house. We're just setting the baseline, on
Okay.
what it's going to take for you to win.
Gotcha.
Versus, we can easily just give you a score. Hey, beat 200 points. But there's
Yeah.
no real, I guess, emotions in there, right? You want to just give it a face. So, we
Totally.
create a lineup that you can root against and root for your own. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Let's talk about the gamification of this all. I know Dana White tasked you in very short order to be able to do this Dana White challenge, to be able to add a fantasy aspect to a reality TV show, which from my recollection hasn't been done. How big of an undertaking was this for you, and how excited were you for the opportunity?
Oh, well, one, I was super happy and stoked when Frank, the president of Power Slap, and Dana, asked if this is something that Stat Hero can do, because the technology we have, on the B2C side, which we just talked about, Stat Hero has been in business with that for the past 5 years. There's also another side of the business, which is our business to business side that we don't talk about a lot because we just launched it in the past couple weeks. And we were able to develop technology, and it's called the gamification cloud. Okay. And what this cloud does is it's able to gamify any event, any sport, any league that doesn't have traditional sport betting, but even the ones that do, like the Big Five. And when Frank and I had this discussion a few weeks back, him and Dana were sitting down and they were like, how can we get more engagement on the show? This already hugely popular show, but how can we get it more engaging where we can ensure that everybody's going to be even more engaged and have fun, be able to win some prizing episode after episode? So we got the call and we put the Stat Hero gamification cloud at work, and it spits out this amazing fan engagement platform, because what's important is that not only it works, right, which I know a lot of the fans are going to expect, but the fact is that they can understand it just by looking at it, right? They don't think it's a sweepstakes where there's a million people in it and I have no shot to win. No, they can legitimately look at this and say, wow, I can win up to 100 prizes from Power Slap and Dana, and I got to finish in the top 100, and it's completely up to me. I build my roster, and I root for my players every episode, to win their matches. And some people will not fight, certain episodes, but it make you tune in for the next episode. And you're rooting against people too, because this thing is going to be very transparent. We're going to show you everybody else's picks, so where you're tracking. Just like a survivor pool-esque type of mentality, right? So we're really excited for this. We're really glad. When you said short order, you were dead on. We did this gamification cloud was able to gamify this. We were able to design it, code it, run it, what we're currently doing now in 10 days. So
Wow.
it's probably about 16 days now, but 16 days ago, this was just a question to us, right? Can you do this? 10 days later, we came out with this, and here you go.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Power Slap, from a gambling aspect, has been seeing some good numbers in Vegas. So I think it makes great logical sense. The NFL, I think part and parcel for how exciting it is today, is the fantasy aspect. Getting fantasy into Slap and talking about the engagement, how much do you think that is going to help the growth of the sport overall?
Well, one, it almost seems like a must move, right? To put every sport, not just Power Slap, but every sport has to be thinking this way. I mean, we are starting to get in the new gold rush, which is the sports betting. Fantasy is going to start. You're going to be seeing it more outside of just the traditional way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And always innovating, and Power Slap wanting to be on the forefront of that was just amazing. So I think they are definitely in the right mindset. When you wait for these sports to be approved compliance-wise at the state level, at the federal level, whichever it would need to happen in order to be able to bet Power Slap in every state, that might take a while. But fans, they want to be engaged. I mean, why is NFL football so engaging? Why do people can't wait to watch it? Of course, you're fans of teams, but I think the gamblers are the most excited because of that adrenaline rush, right? Those emotions you're feeling. The people that even aren't your team, you're rooting for. And then you throw fantasy in this. Now you're rooting for players, not just teams. There's more of a personable thing. There's more skill involved. So,
Totally.
when it comes to Power Slap, it's amazing because it's not just a normal head-to-head match. Okay, who wins? No,
Mm-hmm.
I am completely invested in the action, not the outcome. And that's what Stat Hero is giving to not only this gamification, what we're doing with Dana and Frank, but every event moving forward is every slap I can potentially be getting points. It's not just who wins. So there's a lot more into it. You're in every slap. You're in the moment, right? You're making money based on your skill on the fighters.
Yeah. Let's talk about it a little bit. We'll pull up here the scoring system. So there seems to be two ways that strikers can get points. So if they knock their opponent down is 1 point, and they lose points for fouls. And then there's a win bonus attached to it, depending if they win in the first, second, third round, or by decision. So in a nutshell, that's the scoring system that will be laid out for the entire show.
Yes, that is the scoring system. Make it as simple to understand as possible. So while you're watching, you don't have to keep referring back. But you're exactly right. Knockdowns, fouls, that's all I'm invested in. If I'm not winning or losing the match. So that's what I'm rooting for, rooting against, or rooting for the other guy. And then, right, just like UFC and our UFC scoring, a fighter should be getting more points if they end the fight earlier. So that's exactly right. That's the scoring system.
Gotcha. If a fighter is eliminated from the contest, I guess and if you have them in your fantasy lineup, I guess you can no longer get points from it. So you're trying to look for fighters that can progressively go as far in the show. Is that safe to say?
You got it. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Gotcha. And so I guess, obviously whoever goes through, more opportunity to be able to accumulate points. Is there going to be a live leaderboard that people are going to be able to watch their process all the way through the 12 weeks?
There is. It's what we created here with the help of Power Slap, is we created this leaderboard that not only are you going to be able to see your own score, right? Which is cool. Like you rank XYZ, and you're going to see that as soon as you pop on to your portal onto the site and log in. But also, like I said in the beginning of the call, is we are all about transparency, because whether it be fantasy sports or sports betting or just the industry as a whole, it's a very untrusting industry, right? People are always thinking they're getting taken in some way, potentially, right? That's the mentality. So we want to be at Stat Hero, we're as transparent as possible, right? We'll show you our lineups, and then on this side with this platform for Road to the Title, we're allowing you to see other people's lineups as well. So you'll be able to click on the leaderboard, and I'll be able to say, hey, Corey's in second place and I'm in 13th. Can I catch up to him? Who does he got? And then you can see, the players that you have left, right? The players that are eliminated, and you can totally follow. And now really, Corey, you're into every episode, even if your fighters aren't fighting, because you're rooting against your guys, right? Your opponent's guys. So
totally. Let's talk about it a little bit here. So 8 fighters. You have a total available slap score of 6,750. And so the slap score was developed, as part, with Power Slap, taking into account their human force, their neck force, and their weight to output this. So I guess just like a daily fantasy lineup, this becomes your budget of what you're allowed to spend. Is that correct?
That's correct. You got it exactly right.
Awesome. And then we've got one MVP spot, which gives you 1.5 times the points.
Yep, 1.5. That's your MVP. That's who you think is going to probably end up scoring the most points, and you want to, 1.5 exit. So that's your guy.
Perfect. And then you pick someone from each weight class of the 5 that are here, and then you get 2 flex opportunities. So when you set your lineup before the deadline, what is that deadline?
The deadline would be the start of the second episode. So for next week.
Okay. So you set it once and you're good for all 12 weeks, correct?
Correct. You only have to set it once.
Awesome. I'm going to put you on the spot. Of these guys here, do you have someone that you think that the viewer should have in their lineup?
Oh man, I wish I could answer that for you, my friend. I wish I could, but there are certain guys that I'm rooting for, But no, I what's great about this is, even as a fan of the Power Slap, seeing this live. Well, when I was invited to go take a look, it's amazing, right? What this sport is and what it could become.
Yeah.
So I encourage everybody that's a fan of your show to just try watching one of these fights if you haven't yet live, because it will turn you into a super fan.
Totally. Do you think the simplicity of the sport is going to be primed for the gambling aspect? I mean, it's fairly simple to understand for a first-time viewer. 3 slaps, 5 rounds, 5 slaps in a championship. Really 2 main fouls, stepping and clubbing. Otherwise, pretty straightforward. Do you think the simplicity of that is going to help? Like, do you think this is almost like a made for gambling type of sport?
Well, Corey, I'm sure you're guilty about this as much as I am. I mean, you could bet on anything, right? Like actual betting. You could bet, and if you're invested in it, it's fun for you, right? Now, I don't think there's probably more of a because what gamblers want is that turnover, right? They want that action, they want that feeling of victory, and then they want to move on to the next one, right? And I think Power Slap gives you that opportunity, whether it be fantasy or sports betting, in the states that allow it. So heck yeah. No, I believe that Power Slap has just started. I mean, the popularity on social media is incredible, on how fast in the engagement that they're getting there, coupled with the introduction of the sport, and like I said before, Dana and Frank, they are all about growing this sport and just doing things outside of the box, which both between both of them, it's worked so far. So I'm going to trust the process.
Awesome, my man. I mean, we see the growth of Power Slap exploding, like you said, on social. Where do you see the relationship and the partnership between Stat Hero and Power Slap going, 3, 6, 12 months out?
Yeah, well, we have a great relationship with them. We want to service and make sure that us as a provider, when we're powering these fan engagement tools and when we're powering a gameplay on our platform, so people can actually put money on the Power Slap, we find it just as important to innovate, within ourselves and do things that nobody else is doing, right? You said it best, Corey. The engagement on this sport and how quickly it's getting picked up and watched and followed. And we're just in the beginning, right? You referenced the NFL, and I think that you were right to make that comparison, to be honest. So we want to go as far as Power Slap wants to go, not only with their sport but with the partnership. There's a lot more things on the horizon that we could, share as a team with the fans together. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So, it starts with the reality show. It continues to go with the sport and the events and the matches. And, to figure out more how we can engage the fans in between matches, in between events, I think would be the next step.
Awesome, my man. I appreciate you joining me. You're welcome on our channel any given time. Look forward to seeing how the product evolves. If anyone hasn't done so already, make sure you head over to stathero.com. Sign up today. I know they're running some promos there for deposits, first-time deposits for new for new users. Make sure you get in there and lock it in before the start of the show next Wednesday. I'll give you the final word, Jason. Is there anything else that you want to let the viewers know, whether it be Power Slap related or anything else that you've got going on at Stat Hero?
Hey, Corey, thanks again for having me on. Just to your point, they can use the promo code HERO, and we'll give them a 200% match just because we love you, Corey, and we want to make you look good. So,
Awesome, man. Appreciate you. Much love.
all right, man. You too.
Look at that, man. Jason,
What a
incredible
stud.
dude. What a stud. Absolutely great to have him on. Thank you very much, Jason. Honestly, absolute pleasure to have you here. It's incredibly exciting. The gamification cloud that you have created to be able to partner with Power Slap for this is definitely revolutionary. And, being able to get instant gratification from a reality TV show is, second to none and definitely leading in the industry. So Stat Hero, and like Jason said, head over there, sign up for an account. If you put in the word hero, they're gonna give you a bonus deposit match. So head over and get that bonus right now because it's gonna be exciting. The Fantasy Slap with Power Slap is a free slap competition that
That's
anyone can enter.
wild.
So
That is the craziest part about this whole thing is they're going to let you enter for completely free and have a chance to win up to $10,000, tickets to the Apex, all sorts of prizes from Kudo, Built. This is a no-brainer. And Corey, for Power Slap nerds like you and me, it lets us be involved with the show week to week and feel like we're there rooting on guys that we otherwise wouldn't know,
Totally. Absolutely, my man.
Yeah.
Let's talk strategy a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a couple ways that we can go about this when crafting and building our lineup. We can we can go ahead and we can do a stars and scrubs lineup. We can pick the guys at the top, the guys that they have, that have the highest slap score. And we're going to try and get all of our points from a handful of those guys. And then we're going to get the scrubs. We're going to get, the guys that are ranked lower to fill out our roster. That's one way that we can go about this. Or another way we can also go is with a much more balanced lineup where we don't necessarily take all the favorites, but we try to find value throughout. Because in fantasy, when you have a salary cap, the fighter that you select, you want them to be able to return value for their salary or their slap allocation. And that's really what's going to separate it here for everybody. So, those are two different approaches. You go stars and scrubs, get all those, the big heavy hitters and then fill in, at the bottom and hope some of those guys get you points. Or, let's try and find and build a more well-rounded lineup. It's really up to you what you want to do. That's the beauty of it. There's no right and wrong way before you start. Once this deadline's locked and it goes through the 12 weeks, then obviously there's going to be a right way, but we can't see the future, but we want to, get into the segment. we've got a core 4 segment that we believe that 4 slappers will be able to get you on your way to victory. And so we're going to get into it. We're going to break it down. Big Jeeves is going to get into number 1 with you. Let's go. Who's number 1 in our core 4?
Hey, we got Big Garrett Grimes. He's with Team Manny. He's a deadly middleweight. You see a little bit of preview with him in the first episode, and he also got that first week bye. So we know he impressed the Power Slap brass enough to just get straight into the house, doesn't have to worry about fighting in round 1. So that's a really good look for him. Also, his background. So these guys have been training for this previous to even being in the league, previous to even being selected for this. They were, in a sense, bred over at Gorilla Smack Systems under the tutelage of Power Slap OG, in a sense, TJ Thomas. And so these guys, like I said, have been training for this, and we've seen that being dedicated to this sport very much translates to your success. And we saw Garrett get into a little bit of a tussle in the preview on episode 1. So we know this guy's here. We know he's here to bang. So let's see what he can do. That's why I put him in the number 1 position there.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett Grimes, has a slap score of 923, somewhere in the middle. So Garrett Grimes is definitely somebody that can deliver at his price tag or his slap score. So definitely that is why he is there as one of the pillars as we try to build out this lineup. And so as a middleweight, if you can slide him in there, it'll definitely give you availability to get some other of those good guys kind of in the middle of the pack without blowing your entire budget. So Garrett Grimes is number 1. Let's get into the second core 4 person that we think you should build your lineup around. All right, Logan Greenhall.
Nice.
If you watch the preview show, I've been touting him this entire time. Logan Greenhall, who we'll see here on the second episode. So we're going to know really quickly if Logan is for real or not. And you can peg this one solely on me because I believe Logan Greenhall is a lock in your lineup. I believe he is somebody that is going to go very far in this particular series and in this contest. And if you bring back up one more time that image that we had for number 2, we've got him at a slap score of 765. 765 for a heavyweight. Let's talk about that. That is a discount. That is a steal. That is what allows you to do a lot more with the rest of your lineup. This is a guy that has size. He's got incredibly thick neck. We know from the previews, he's there for business, and you are getting a tremendous discount by locking in Logan Greenhall into your heavyweight spot. It's going to allow you to do a lot more with your flex positions at the end of your lineup. So lock Logan in. I think he comes out of that heavyweight division with the most points, and it's going to be exciting the entire time. Hey, Jeeves.
Number 3, let's take a look who we put in there. We got Brandon Bordeaux again with Team Manny. So we're going back and forth a little bit with the teams. We haven't seen too much of the difference the coaches are going to make yet. But Brandon Bordeaux, just what we've seen from him through our interviews and through his lifestyle and his commitment and his slap score. If you can pull that back up, producer man, he has a slap score of 853. So again, in the middle of the pack. And I think this is a great value on a guy as committed to the sport as Brandon will be. And that's why we put him here at the number 3 spot. He looks like he's going to perform week in, week out when he gets the chance to. So it's a solid pick for you guys building your rosters out there.
Absolutely. Incredibly dedicated, serious, from the first interview that we did with him. He's here to make a name for himself. He's here to leave a legacy for his children, to actually accomplish what he's said to do. He's not just here for a good time. Let's talk about it right now. And we've got 3 guys in the middle of the pack that we believe can bring you guys value. If you lock these guys in, it's going to allow you to have a lot of extra budget left to be able to craft that captain spot, to be able to do, your flex positions. So you'll see we're not picking the favorites. We're trying to do the hard, the dirty work to kind of get into the nitty gritty, to look at the first round matchups, who we think will come out of it. Where do we think we can get those elusive knockout points from? Because there's 2 ways that you get points here. So let's keep that in mind. You knock somebody down, you get a point. If you have a foul, you lose half a point for every foul. And then additionally, the sooner the match ends, the more point allocation comes along. So who can we get? That one can be highly effective. Who can get a victory and who can get it early in this first round of 12 matches is really where we're focused on, because that will set up for a second match. So as soon as the fighter's gone, you will not get any more points from them for the rest of the competition. So identifying these guys that are in round one, that have an opportunity to finish it fast, to get you points, and have an opportunity to have a second match on the show. Because what we know, not everybody has two matches. So being able to get guys that we think can win and guys that can go on to have two matches to get you points in that setup is going to become incredibly important. So that's what we're using as the basis to try to identify this. Like I said, we're putting in the work. We're digging it down. We want to be able to feed it to you guys, because a round one KO is worth 10 points.
Yep.
If your guy in the captain spot, which is 1.5 times the points, that's 15 points. So if you think about that right now, that's a huge up. Round 2 is 8 points. Round 3 is 5 points. And a decision victory is 3. So we want to keep those things in mind, have as many opportunities and as many chances to accumulate points as we absolutely can. What's that last one, Jeeves? Let's take a look at it.
Pull it up. Who do we got here? We got Garrett Blakesley. Now,
right.
Another one with Team Manny, light heavyweight this time. Slap score of 714. So again, we keep these guys in the middle of the pack because everyone who's going to be filling out their lineups, they're going to get to a point where they're going to be deleting guys and filling them back out because, like I said, you're just trying to go for the big numbers because that's what you think is going to get the wins. But these guys here, we think will be ringers in any division. We already saw what Garrett B can do, episode 1. And being that he got that knockout, like Corey said, in the first round, there's a good chance we may see him again sometime later on in the season. And so you get another chance to get some points here with a guy who we know can knock someone out.
100%. We already see him take a victory. So you already know round 1 knockout that you're going to get 10 points from right off the bat. So
easy.
So you slide him in there. He's got to be in there somewhere at, at a low 700, 714 slap score. Getting 10 points already pays his salary. He needs to be in your lineup. It's that simple. He needs to be locked and loaded there. If he's not in your lineup, I would almost guarantee you that you're not going to finish in the prizing. Because you already see the 10 points versus that salary, which is bottom of the barrel. The way that they've got him slated here is truly as a scrub. So, I mean, you got to lock him in there. So we've got those, core 4 for you guys. Lock and load those into your lineup. Let's pull those 4 up one more time, Mr. Producer. We've got Garrett Grimes, Logan Greenhall, Brandon Bordeaux, and Garrett Bleaksley. Those are the 4 that you need to have in your lineup to make this happen. But we also have one wild card.
I was chuckling about this. Everyone's probably wondering what that little dice is at the end. So it's basically, this one's a roll at the die. If you have room in your lineup, this is a great guy to have in there. It's Zach Zane Dubsy. You guys know he's a friend of the show. We have a lot of high hopes for Zach Zane, just his illustrious career in MMA and coming up through that and getting here to Power Slap and just being hungry and ready for it. We think Zach Zane is going to do very well on the show and just very well in Power Slap in general. But the reason, Corey, tell him why we have him as the wild card.
Yeah, I mean, his salary. He's the most expensive guy. At 1047, the most expensive guy in the game. If you can fit him in your lineup, great. But if you don't, I wouldn't blame you because he has to pay back that salary. Is he going to generate enough points to make that salary worth it? That's a huge chunk. That's 1/6 of your entire budget that you're going to allocate to one particular person. I could make a reason why you'd want him in there. I wouldn't fault you if you didn't put him in there. So you're going to want to look at the other alternatives. We're only going to let you know 4. If we let you know in the entire 8 lineup, we're going to have 100 people with the exact same lineup. The guys at Stat Hero are going to hate us. So we're going to give you 4. We're going to give you 4 this time. And you know what? If you actually follow us on Instagram, we're probably going to drop another hint or two before the
Mhm.
end and the lockdown of your lineup. So we want to keep you guys engaged. So make sure you guys are following us on Instagram. If you're not already, we'll probably give you 1 or 2 more guys, which will allow you to have, 5 or 6 guys that we really think
Mhm.
can. And then we'll leave it up to you guys with 1 or 2. You guys pick your favorite. I mean, this is for fun at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, those extra kind of guys, you guys decide who you want to put into your lineup. But we're going to start at 4. I might be putting my foot in my mouth. The guys at Stat Hero might not like us, pulling out 6 or 7 guys in a lineup of 8 for you. But we'll give you
Yeah.
guys our best recommendation, and
Hey,
we'll
man,
see
we
how
could
it all falls.
we could be completely wrong. Like this is just a suggestion of what we think as the Power Slap experts, in a sense, is what it should be.
No,
But I think
geez.
you guys should go with what we're saying. And
No, I think we're right, Jeeves. I think you're wrong, buddy. I think we're right.
well,
I
know
think
we're
we
right.
are right. So
I know we're right because we're Slap fucking News.
you
But
need
I'm
to
just saying,
instill confidence.
yeah. I'm just saying, if people think we're just bozos here and we're just blowing hot smoke, go ahead. Don't pick these guys. Put in your own 8. Let us know in the DMs what your 8 was, and we'll see how it goes for you.
100%. That's the beauty. We're going to see this week by week.
Yeah.
They're going to have a live real-time update on the actual site. So you'll be able to see it go through and through. Hey, you know what? If you don't take our advice, you know what? It doesn't matter.
That's what
You know what?
saying.
Here's what I will say. Go after any other Slap analyst who is giving you this information and see what they say.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do it. It's all yours, my man. If someone else is putting in the work, kudos to them. If they're doing better predictions than us, I applaud them. But I think we're working incredibly hard. We're putting the time in to be able to give you guys these. So I'm 100% confident. Big G's might not be, but I am confident in this core 4 is going to get you to the promised land. It's going to get you in that upper echelon. But be smart, be safe, and make sure that you don't take all the favorites, because like reality TV show, you never know what the twists and the turns will be. Keep in mind, there's some guys that got first round buys. So they're only going to have 1 fight and 1 opportunity to be able to accumulate that, points that are set off against their slap score. So keep that in mind. A guy like Slappy Joe, he's going to have 1 opportunity. We've seen what he can do. We can see the KO power that he has.
Yeah.
You pick a guy like that, you hope he's going to get a round 1 finish to deliver you 10 points right off the bat.
Big salary on that one.
Absolutely. All right, my man, let's wrap it up. As always, Slap News bringing you exclusive coverage. We've got Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Every single week, we are bringing you the fantasy show. We are bringing you the final Slap live post-fight coverage after the episode that is released on Rumble. And then Friday's exclusive interviews and analysis.
So 20, so it's going to be about 35 minutes.
Yeah, that's all right.